fees for students. Did that work? Was that a wrong policy? Was it a failure as a policy?
What that policy has done has meant that there's money for universities.
So why are you
what the policy has done has meant that there are more students going to university. But when we set that policy, what we expected was going to happen is there'd be a range, a diversity in the system, that we'd see universities perhaps offering shorter courses, that we'd see universities offering courses at fees under the maximum of the fee. That hasn't happened. We've got to look at it again.
Borderline extortioner, which is a bit of a harsh phrasing, but it's the truth. A lot of the time, people come into classes and lectures thinking, okay, this will teach me everything I need to know, and this is why I'm paying for it, but that's not necessarily the case, and I don't think many people know that when they come in. It's more about going to the lectures and then making sure that you actually do work outside of class and actually make connections while you're at uni, because that's also a part of the experience that you're being sold, not just the actual education, and that's in itself is a learning experience.
You know, after 3 years, I don't think it should be all the way scrapped, but definitely could be decreased, because my sister was lucky enough to still have to bear about, I think, 3,000 or less than 5,000 for each year, and I have to pay 9,000, which is a huge increase. So accumulating all that together, that's a debt of, well, not really, but a debt of 27,000, because we gained something extremely good from it. Again, for my first point, it can be decreased a lot more, but I don't think it should be for free.
Actually, there should not be tuition fees. Education should be free, and government should support and pay for student education. So it should come through general taxes, because at the present moment there's loans and people in heavy debt after, you know, kind of 3 years. They're on 50,000 plus debt. And that means the implications of that are quite severe for people in terms of getting further borrowing, etc., etc. So I think the government can support.
I see a pretty bad thing, because if you tell people that the price of education is going to go up, it's going to want to make them do other things. The educated you are, the lower the crime rates are in general. So if people aren't going to school, if they can't afford to go to school, they may end up doing things that you don't want them to do. They may turn to drugs, they may turn to crime, other sorts of violence. When instead you could lower the price of education, make it easier for people to become educated, and then you have them doing things that contribute to society. They get new jobs, they come up with new ideas, they find more efficient ways to do things that we already know how to do, or you can continue to raise the price and they may not be able to have those same opportunities, because there are plenty of people who could probably be in school right now who can't afford it at this point, and so many brilliant minds that could be wasted.
Tory! What do we want?
Free education!
When do we want it? No! What do we want?
Free education!
When do we want it? No! What do we want?
Free education!
Middle-class students do work, and they have to supplement the loans which are not adequate enough. And that does mean that people from middle-class families are less likely to work. So they're getting a different sort of education than in terms of poorer from working-class families. Also, it affects, it's interesting, a large percentage of the working class is non-white or black or Asian. And so you can see that questions of race and class kind of intersect in that way, and the education has been affected.
That sounds, compared to, as it were, the banquet that Jeremy Corbyn is offering, that sounds like a bit of a dry biscuit.
Well, the point about the banquet that Jeremy Corbyn claimed to be able to offer is that he can't deliver on it. Look, you can only do this if you have a balanced approach to the economy, which is what we have. What would Jeremy Corbyn do? He'd wreck the economy. It's not just me saying that. The Labour Party... Andrew, this is an important point. At the Labour Party conference, the Labour Party themselves recognised that they would wreck our economy.
I don't think
they can't deliver.
I don't remember that speech.
Run on the pound from Labour. That's what they said a Labour Party would mean.